Lily Thompson had always been the responsible one. At just 17, she balanced school, a part-time job, and her dream of going to college out of state. She never missed curfew, never ignored her mom's texts, and never skipped work. That's why, when she didn't come home after her 10 p.m. shift at Maggie's diner, everyone knew something was wrong. Her mother, Susan Thompson, tried calling her phone, straight to voicemail. She tried again and again. Nothing. By midnight, panic set in. Lily's best friend Jenna checked their last conversation on Snapchat. The timestamp read 11:24 p.m. Lily had texted, "Locking up now, see you tomorrow." But she never made it home. Susan drove to the diner herself, her heart pounding in her chest. The place was dark, the parking lot empty, except for Lily's car. The driver's side door was slightly ajar. Her keys were lying on the ground next to the car. A few feet away, her phone sat face down on the asphalt, its screen shattered. Susan's scream shattered the silence. The police arrived within minutes, floodlights illuminating the lot. Officers marked off the scene with yellow tape, searching for any clues. Detective Mark Grayson, a seasoned investigator with 20 years on the force, arrived shortly after. He took one look at the scattered belongings and knew this wasn't just a missing person case. This was an abduction. Grayson asked the usual questions. Had Lily been acting strange lately? No. Did she have any problems with anyone? Not that her mom knew of. Was she seeing anyone? Not officially. Then, a break in the case. A grainy security camera clip from a nearby gas station showed a white van idling near Maggie's diner at 11:15 p.m. The van's headlights flashed once before slowly pulling away. Minutes later, Lily's phone stopped sending signals. Susan clutched her chest, barely able to breathe. "Someone took her," she whispered. Detective Grayson tightened his jaw. He had worked dozens of missing person cases, and the first 48 hours were crucial. The clock had already started ticking. Lily Thompson was gone in the dark, and someone out there knew why. Detective Mark Grayson sat in his dimly lit office, staring at the grainy surveillance footage playing on loop. The white van idled near Maggie's diner for exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds before slowly disappearing into the night. No license plate was visible, no identifying marks, just a dark, anonymous vehicle blending into the background. He had seen cases like this before. Someone had planned this. At 8 a.m., Susan Thompson arrived at the station, eyes red from crying all night. She clutched Lily's favorite sweatshirt in her hands, as if holding onto it would bring her daughter back. "Do you have anything?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Grayson hesitated. "We're working on it. We have footage of a van near the scene, but we need more." Jenna, Lily's best friend, burst into the room. "I think I found something." She held up her phone, pulling up Lily's recent DMs from a private social media account, one Jenna didn't even know existed. A message stood out. "Unknown user, can't wait to finally meet you in person tonight. Don't be nervous." Sent at 10:52 p.m., just minutes before Lily locked up the diner. Susan gasped. "She didn't tell me about this." Jenna's hands shook. "I don't think she knew who they really were." Grayson's stomach twisted. Online predators, fake profiles. He had seen it all before. He turned to his team. Trace the account. Find out where those messages came from. Meanwhile, officers canvassed the area near the diner. One witness, a gas station attendant, recalled seeing the white van earlier that week. "Van's been lurking around town for days," he said, lighting a cigarette with shaking fingers. "Driver always kept his head down. Gave me a bad feeling." Grayson's gut told him the same thing. Someone had been watching Lily, waiting for the perfect moment. And now she was gone. With the first 24 hours slipping away, the case had become a race against time. If Lily had been taken by a stranger, the statistics were grim. But if she had known her abductor, if she had trusted them, this was even worse. It meant he had planned everything. Detective Mark Grayson knew the first 48 hours in a missing persons case were the most crucial. Time was slipping through his fingers like sand in an hourglass. Lily had been missing for over 24 hours, and they still had no solid lead. The white van was a ghost, no plates, no trace. The anonymous online account was even worse. The tech team traced the messages to a burner phone, making it nearly impossible to track. Whoever had taken Lily had planned this carefully. But then a breakthrough. At 2:30 p.m., Susan Thompson called the station, her voice trembling. "Detective, I found something in Lily's room." Grayson rushed to the house. In Lily's bedroom, everything looked untouched. Her bed neatly made, books stacked in a pile, a few framed pictures of her and Jenna. But Susan pointed to the mirror above her desk. There, written in red lipstick, were 3 chilling words. "No way out." Jenna gasped, covering her mouth. "That wasn't there before." Grayson's mind raced. "Are you sure Lily didn't write this?" Susan shook her head, her hands gripping the sweatshirt she hadn't let go of since Lily disappeared. "She wouldn't do this." Jenna's eyes widened. "Wait, Lily did say something weird a few days ago. She thought someone had been inside her room." Grayson turned sharply. "Why didn't she report it?" "She wasn't sure. She thought maybe she left her window open, but—" Jenna's voice broke. "What if someone was watching her even before she disappeared?" A cold realization settled over the room. If the message wasn't from Lily, then someone had broken into her room before she was taken, taunting her. Warning her? Grayson's instinct screamed this wasn't random. This abductor wasn't just some online predator. This was personal. "Check the rest of the house," he ordered his team. "Look for signs of forced entry, hidden cameras, anything." Detective Mark Grayson felt the weight of the case pressing down on him. The message on Lily's mirror, "No way out," wasn't just a threat, it was a taunt. Someone was playing a sick game, and Lily was the prize. But who? As officers swept the house for clues, Grayson turned to Susan and Jenna. "Did Lily mention anything else strange before she disappeared? Anything out of the ordinary?" Jenna hesitated, her fingers gripping the edge of Lily's desk. She said she kept hearing noises outside her window, like someone watching her. Susan's face went pale. "She told me that too, but I thought she was just being paranoid." Grayson's mind was already racing. Stalkers escalated their behavior over time, first watching, then breaking in, then taking. Whoever took Lily had been planning this for weeks. Then one of his officers called out, "Detective, you need to see this." Grayson followed him outside, where a second officer stood near a tree outside Lily's window. He shined a flashlight at the bark. Deep scratch marks lined the surface, clawing, digging, like someone had been climbing. Grayson's gut twisted. "Get forensics on this. Check for fibers, fingerprints, anything." Then Susan let out a sharp gasp. "Oh my God." She pointed toward the neighbor's security camera, angled toward their yard. "Mr. Franklin has a camera. It might have recorded something." The elderly neighbor was more than willing to help. He rewound the footage to 2 nights before Lily vanished. The grainy video showed a shadowy figure standing beneath Lily's window at 2:47 a.m. Just standing, watching. For 6 full minutes. Then, without warning, the figure climbed the tree. The screen flickered, the video jumping slightly. When it cleared, the figure was gone. Jenna shuddered. He was inside the house. Grayson's jaw tightened. And he left her a message. Whoever this was, they didn't just take Lily. They had been living inside her fear for weeks. The detective turned to his team. "We need to find out everyone Lily came into contact with, at school, at work, online. Someone was obsessed with her." Detective Mark Grayson barely slept. Every new lead in Lily's case seemed to open another dark possibility. The white van had vanished. The anonymous online account was a dead end. The security footage had shown someone lurking outside Lily's window, but their face remained hidden in shadows. Then, at 3:17 a.m., Susan Thompson's phone rang. A single call. A no number. Her heart nearly stopped as she grabbed the phone. "Hello? Hello? Is this Lily?" Silence. A shaky breath on the other end. Then the line went dead. Susan's hands trembled as she dialed Detective Grayson. Within minutes, his team traced the call. It had pinged off a cell tower just 10 miles away. "She's alive," Susan whispered. "She has to be." Grayson wanted to believe it, but something wasn't right. If Lily had managed to make a call, why hadn't she spoken? Was she too scared? Was someone with her? His team moved fast, tracking the location to an abandoned rest stop along a desolate highway. When they arrived, the place was eerily silent. The smell of damp wood and gasoline filled the air. Then, a phone buzzed in the dark. One of the officers spotted it, a burner phone, placed deliberately on the seat of an old wooden bench. Grayson's pulse quickened. Check it for prints. The officer lifted the phone carefully, but the screen was already on, displaying one single image. A photo of Lily, tied to a chair, eyes wide with terror. And scrawled across the bottom of the screen in blood-red text. Too late. Susan screamed. Jenna clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes flooding with tears. Grayson forced himself to stay calm. This wasn't over. The abductor had left this phone on purpose. This wasn't a ransom demand. It was a message. Whoever took Lily was watching them, taunting them. And worst of all, they were one step ahead. Grayson turned to his team, his voice sharp. We're not backing down. He wants us to feel helpless, like Lily has no way out. But he made a mistake. The officer raised an eyebrow. What mistake? Grayson clenched his jaw. He thinks he can't be found, but he just told us where to look. Detective Mark Grayson stared at the burner phone. The image of Lily burned into his mind. She was alive, but for how much longer? He knew one thing for certain: this wasn't random. The abductor was playing a game, a sick, twisted game. But games have patterns, and Grayson was about to break this one wide open. His team worked fast. The burner phone had no fingerprints, no call history, but there was one thing the abductor didn't account for: the location metadata embedded in the image of Lily. They traced it. It led to an abandoned house deep in the woods, just 15 miles away. No lights, no movement, just a crumbling structure surrounded by endless trees. Grayson's gut twisted. Move in. Now. The SWAT team advanced, weapons raised. The front door was unlocked. Another mind game. As they entered, the smell of damp wood and mildew filled the air. The floor creaked under their boots. Then, a muffled scream. It came from the basement. Grayson's heart pounded as they rushed downstairs. The air was thick and stale, the dim light barely illuminating the horror in front of them. Lily. She was tied to a wooden chair, wrists raw from struggling. Duct tape covered her mouth, and her wide, terrified eyes filled with tears the moment she saw them. "She's here," an officer shouted. "She's alive." They cut the ropes and pulled the tape from her mouth. She gasped for air, sobbing. "Hey, he's still here." Then, a sound upstairs. A floorboard creaked. The abductor was still inside the house. "Go! Now!" Grayson ordered. The team stormed back up, but by the time they reached the door, he was gone. Vanished into the woods. A shadow in the night. Lily was safe, but the case wasn't over. The man who had taken her had planned everything. And he had escaped. As paramedics checked Lily, she clung to her mother, sobbing. "He said he'll come back for me." Grayson clenched his jaw. "Not on my watch."